Today, I'm taking the world's most exclusive sleeper train for 96 hours across an entire country. I'm staying in the best compartment, a royal suite, which takes up half a carriage, complete with a king-sized bed, champagne-filled minibar, and ensuite bathroom. Yes, you see correctly, that's a bath on a train. This is the famous Rovos Rail. Join me for 4 days as I live on board with fine dining in the restaurants, relaxing on the viewing deck, propping up the bar with new friends, or writing postcards in the lounge. Let's go check into the self-proclaimed world's most luxurious train mid-afternoon in South Africa's sunny Cape Town. Hello there and welcome back to the channel where we're beginning our journey here on Rovos Rail. So without any more to say, let's go inside, check in, and go and sort out formalities. Check-in formalities are dealt with at the Rovos Rail Cape Town offices, complete with classical live music and most importantly champagne. As I enjoy a cold glass of bubbles, my bags are whisked off to the train, whilst my carry-on is tagged up. I have to complete some paperwork whilst the other passengers slowly begin to arrive. In a short while we're warmly welcomed by Bianca, a member of the Voss family, whose father, Rohan, founded this special train back in 1986. The experience so far feels intimate, welcoming and personal, a far cry from many of these luxury cruise trains. Time to head over to the station, because of course this building is actually located just opposite the station, and now we've got to head over and go and get on board. Oh, a side note, if you instead depart from Pretoria, Rovos owns a private station complete with steam train to carry you on the first few miles of your trip. Though today we'll be relying on South Africa's finest, Transnet locos, to pull our luxury train along. And wow, what a train at that. It's already evident that the attention to detail is, well, astounding. Even more so is this incredible Cape Town backdrop as we begin to file onto the train one by one. As noted, I'm in the Royal section, where only 2 suites feature in each carriage. What did I say about the attention to detail, eh? Wow. It's another one of those moments where I'm a little bit lost for words.
My name is Rinalda. I'll be the train minister taking you through to Pretoria.
After a general announcement welcoming everyone on board, we're off, and so begins our grand voyage across South Africa. Naturally, my curiosity has got the better of me. These windows actually fully open. I'd never seen that on a train before. Of course, I'm not complaining one bit, and will take full advantage of the beautiful views as we depart Cape Town. I may need to watch out for that palm tree though.
A few minutes later.
So we've been going for literally 10 minutes and we've stopped because apparently they're going to change the loco. Well, I make it the ideal time to show you around my royal suite, aptly named Drakensberg. FYI, that translates to Dragon Mountains. So the royal suite is huge, at just over 16 metres squared, and it can be set up in either this king bed setting or as a twin. Let's get perhaps the most satisfying light switches on and take a look around. The king-size bed is in the day use setting and will be turned down when I go for dinner. The seating area is spacious with comfy armchairs to sink into. There are also a whole host of goodies here on my table, such as these botanical toiletries. There's also an info book full of all the various features of the train, as well as meal times, etc. Usefully, there's also a list of all the passengers' names, which is brilliant for someone like I with a brain like a sieve. Now, trust me, I've sniffed out the minibar. Now here's the cool thing, is basically you can request to fill it with whatever you want. So me being a fan of Diet Coke, as you know on the channel, I can get it filled with that. I can get it filled with champagne. Oh, and like everything on this train, it's all included in the price of your ticket. Other things to note is the ample overhead storage for your bags, and of course the much needed air conditioning, the warm kind of course at this time of the year. With that, the sun begins to set as we head further north, which can only mean
We have 2 dining cars in the middle of the train. 1 dining car can take 42 people at a time.
that is a gong that they walk up and down the corridor with to let you know that dinner is pretty much ready. Now most people I'm sure would take quite their time getting changed, but me, I'm in a bit of a rush, so yeah, let's get changed. And there we go, much better. However, there is something missing, of course, because well, I'm required to wear a tie. A tie like this? I think that's going to be the one. So basically you put this outside your room when you want it to be made up. True to Rowan Voss's aim to create a feeling of a bygone era, you can also use this procedure for Do Not Disturb and room service. Love it. As we head to dinner, it's time for a quick word from today's video sponsor, BetterHelp. Now let's talk a little bit about your mental health and therapy. Now I know there's always going to be a bit of a stigma attached to talking about therapy. Just like an aeroplane or a train requires maintenance to keep it moving, sometimes we need a bit of maintenance to keep us going too. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that works through video calls, phone calls, and even live chat, so you don't even have to see someone face to face if you don't want to. You just go to the website and fill in a questionnaire so they can match you with the right therapist. Within 48 hours, they'll match you with a therapist and you can start booking your video calls, your phone calls, and even secure live chat where you can speak to them 24/7. It's all completely secure and confidential between you and your therapist. Now I've been using my therapist to help me through some of the negative thoughts and emotions that I've had and try replacing them with more positive ones. It's not easy and it's taken me some time to get my head around it, but I think I'm starting to get a much more positive outlook on life as a result. More than 2 million people have already taken charge on their mental health with BetterHelp, and you can join them on the link on the screen, betterhelp.com/trek. That's betterhelp.com/trek, and you'll get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. As you'll have heard on the tannoy, there are 2 dining cars, and we'll be taking the first one this evening. With Millie sadly back home in England, it's a table for 1 for me today. Let's take a look at that menu then. My word, aside from being super impressive, do you see what I see? Crocodile? Well, that's certainly a first. There's a wine paired to each course, which is a lovely touch, though I'll be taking it easy this evening. I will note that the South African Chenin Blanc is delicious. Fresh bread is served alongside with the most artistically prepared butter, and certainly rivaling the Orient Express saffron variety. I need not worry about being alone this evening though, as I'm next to this lovely couple from New Zealand who are both fantastic company. Okay, the moment has come, it's time to try crocodile. Well, I can confirm it's delicious. Not even sure where I can get this back home, but I'd certainly try it again. Shortly thereafter, my main arrives. Duck breast with potato dauphinoise and a port wine dew. It's clear already this is a fine dining experience. I continue onto my cheese course of Cueto garden herb cheese, complemented with a melon preserve. And of course, if this is not enough, my dessert arrives, a frozen blueberry cheesecake. Phenomenal. Oh, and finally I closed off with a glass of Towny Port with my new friends. All in all very indulgent, and I'm for sure not going to bed hungry. Well, that was lovely. I have to say, out of all of the trips that I've been on in recent times, this is one of the best for meeting people and having a lovely chat. I've had a really, really lovely dinner. But anyway, what I've been kind of excited to show you is what's over here. My bed has been fully transformed into a nighttime paradise. Fluffy white pillows and rich Egyptian cotton sheets. And next to my bed is tomorrow's weather forecast. And there's also a map of our first stop. What's more, I have a gift, this ostrich leather wallet, which is a lovely and thoughtful touch. Let's get changed then. I'm feeling pretty tired now. Oh, and of course, there are fluffy dressing gowns provided.
A few minutes later.
I just want to reference that a matter of days ago, I was yomping it across Europe from London to Istanbul on that crazy video you maybe have seen. Yeah, things have definitely changed for the better. We'll take a proper look around the ensuite bathroom in the morning, but first let's get my teeth brushed. I can feel my eyelids getting ever heavier. Of course, as anticipated, the bed is phenomenal and without doubt the most comfortable I've tried on board a train before. Night all.
The next day.
Right, well, good morning. I'm properly up now. I think it's time to go and have a shower before we go and explore this town that we've arrived in. Let's go take a look at my ensuite then, unlike anything you've ever seen on a train before. Well, hello, welcome to my bathroom, which you've probably seen in the background from when I brushed my teeth last night. So we're of course interested in the shower. Just down here's the bath. Don't worry, I'll be making a fool of myself in there later. But first of all, a refreshing morning shower. Oh, well, there really is nothing quite like showering on a train at the best of times. But when it's like a 5-star hotel, it's certainly going to ruin rail travel for me forever. With my Timbs on, it's time to head out and explore this new and mysterious town. Welcome to Matjesfontein, around 195 miles from Cape Town. And it's got quite a relevant history to me, being that I'm British. Founded by a Scotsman in the 1800s. Ah yes, so this is James Douglas Logan. He ended up buying much of the land around this area, and even opened up a restaurant for the railway passing through town. Today, Matjesfontein is more of a time capsule, and there's something that's really caught my eye. So whilst I was most confused here as to why there's a London bus in the middle of South Africa, I've since found out why. It turns out in the 1960s, Cape Town imported lots of these buses for their public transport. This one here was the last of which in service and is now looked after by the local transport museum. Right, so you joined me at the very back of the train, and this is something we're going to have a look at a bit later on today, the observation deck. Anyway, I'm freezing, let's head back inside, get some warm breakfast inside us and go and experience what we have on this adventure today over on our way to Johannesburg. It's only when you start walking down the train you realise how huge this operation is. In fact, Rovos Rail own over 70 of these carriages operated on a variety of trips across Africa. Breakfast is served in the other dining car, which you'll note is quite different in style and character to where we had dinner last night. Of course, brekkie is also a fine affair, however, thankfully for me, there is no dress code per se, so what I've worn outside is permissible this morning. So what's on the menu? Well, it's most impressive, offering quite the array of healthy and hearty options to start the day. I think my strategy of looking around first and then having breakfast has paid off. I've got the whole room to myself, so I don't distract anyone when I'm filming. But also it's quite cool to experience this room. It really does have those like Orient Express vibes, but it's just a completely different experience. I'm impressed to find Rovos serving proper coffee. My cappuccino has been made to perfection, with just the right kick of much needed caffeine to combat that ever-present jet lag of mine. So what did I order? Only the most sumptuous looking crispy bacon, scrambled eggs and sausage of course. Simply delicious. Okay, I have an idea. You know I mentioned the outside observation deck just now. How about we go and enjoy a morning coffee out there and watch the world go by? Whoops! Thankfully no coffee was harmed or spilled in the making of this film. So on with the show. Well, you can't really get much more civilised than this, can you? Fresh cappuccino, outside observation deck, on a beautiful, sunny South African morning. I mean, this is certainly my favourite part of the train. It's a little bit more dramatic when you're going because, of course, you've got the wind to contend with and the noise of the rails, but it's absolute bliss. Now, a question I often get is what's the smoking situation on trains? Well, for the most part, it's totally banned. However, on Rovos, there is a smoking lounge. Saying this, it is the only place on the train where you're permitted to do so. At this point we're notified there's going to be a delay to our departure, and this is due to something called load shedding, and it happens all over South Africa where the power supply is switched off in alternating hours throughout the day. Given that our loco requires electricity to run, we must wait until it's switched back on. So therefore, I've decided the best thing to pass the time is for yet more food. Yes, it's lunchtime. So what does lunch look like on Rovos Rail? Well, in form of a 4-part indulgence with paired wines of course. Or if you're Trek trendy, a delicious cold DC. At this moment we're notified that we finally have power again, and we're going to be back on our way. With the atmosphere just that little more upbeat with the anticipation of new scenery and the hope of spotting some flamingos up ahead, let's tuck into my lunch. To start, I have the caramelised pear salad with toasted walnuts and drizzled honey. It was delicate, sweet and immensely satisfying. Hot on its tail, we have the Greek salad stuffed chicken thighs, served with Hasselback potatoes. Absolutely phenomenal. You certainly won't be going hungry on this train for sure. The countryside slowly starts to change as we begin to head deeper into the Great Karoo Desert, which was once a huge inland sea. My cheese course arrives consisting of roquefort on a toasted baguette with a freshly made salad. And yes, would you believe it, there's still one more course to go, orange charlotte, which was cool, citrusy and bursting with flavour. Wow, I think that's me done for a few hours now. Let's waddle back to my room. I think I need to lie down after that incredible food. Well, welcome back to my room. It's been refreshed yet again. It's like magic. I have to say that the service overall so far has been impeccable, and I am super impressed. I tell you what I'm also super impressed with. There are provided goggles for you to look out the window with. Mind you, I'm a seasoned pro at this, and I've made my own arrangements. Well, all this food and excitement is making me sleepy, so I think it's time for an afternoon nap. Because, well, why not? So we're stopped at one of the many signal points, or perhaps there's a delay further up the line. But the reality is of this sort of travel is it doesn't matter. You're indulging in an experience. People often ask me, well, why would someone not fly this distance? But the reality is that's not the point. It's to relax, it's to unwind, it's to forget the distractions of modern day life. About 10 minutes pass and the freight train has finally cleared our route ahead. Now we're back on the move again and the sun is beginning to lower. I make it G&T o'clock. So let's hot-foot it all the way back to the tail. Sorry, as usual, a shameless Snowpiercer reference. Join me as we head through the dining car and down the many corridors, all the way to the bar. Now, I'm respectful of the privacy of the other guests on board, so here's what the lounge and bar area look like when it's empty. An eclectic mix of comfy armchairs and rich leather sofas, but wait, there's something that's caught my eye. That's right, binoculars, though I may need to take that lens cap off. As you can imagine, it's a lovely place to hang out and make new friends, which brings me on to the most pertinent matter at hand, our gin and tonic. Let's take this through to the observation deck. Isn't this perhaps the most special setting for an evening drink, hurtling through the African wilderness on a luxury train? I get chatting to several of my newfound friends, and naturally the one G&T turns into about 3 as the sun gently sets on the horizon. So it is that time again. It is time for more food. It's time for dinner, of course. Now, I saw a few people last night not wearing ties. I know it was a strict rule, but rules are made to be broken, right? The question on your lips must be, what exotic dish tonight? Sorry, mate. After settling onto my usual table, I get chatting to a lovely American couple over a glass of delicious Chardonnay. As I said, making new friends on Rovos is just part of the experience. First up is a South African favourite, smoked snook, baked into a delicious tart, complemented with fresh leaves. Next up, our ostrich friend. So what do I make to it? Well, like the croc, I'm converted. It's sensational, similar to beef but resembles a gamey meat like venison. Well, it's been a long day of relaxing and eating, so why not turn in for the night? After brushing my teeth in my stunning Victorian ensuite, I'm embraced by the super comfy Royal Suite bed that's even got an electric blanket in tow tonight. Anyway, night all, we'll talk the all-important costs in the morning. Well, good morning. I have to say, unfortunately, I didn't sleep that well last night. And this is because the train was moving throughout the night at quite a rate, due to our lengthy stop at Matches-Fontaine yesterday morning. Because of that pesky load shedding, we had quite the ground to make up in order to arrive at our next stop today of Kimberley. You know what? I have a brainwave. My ensuite happens to host the remedy to soothing my lack of sleep. I've just remembered something. We've got something to supplement this, and I think you're gonna like it. Yeah. Now, due to feeling pretty tired out, I elected not to go on the excursion this morning. Sometimes you just have to take 5 for yourself, and I feel a lot better for doing so. For reference, Kimberley is a mining town where diamonds were discovered back in 1866. This led to a diamond rush in the 1870s, resulting in the famous Big Hole. Thanks to my leisurely morning, I'm having a late brunch, which the staff kindly arranged for me. As I said, the service is what sets Rovos apart, with the staff tailoring the experience to a passenger's individual preferences, seamlessly and professionally. My brunch was exactly what I needed: toasted fluffy bread, beautifully smoked bacon, egg and cheese. Needless to say, my plate was totally cleared. Okay, it's time to talk cost. There's no denying it, this is not a cheap trip. However, you're paying for the luxury and quality. What I will say though is when you peg this against the competition, it does work out at a competitive price point. The Orient Express, for example, costs £5,500 for a historic room. Or for what I experienced, the price is hiked to an eye-watering £17,500 for the 28-hour journey from London to Venice. Comparatively, Rovos Rail prices out at £53k for a Pullman cabin based on 2 sharing, or alternatively £79k for a deluxe suite, or what I booked, the Royal Suite, at £106k. My trip was organised seamlessly by my friend Jarvis, who runs theluxurytraveller.com. I paid just the same as anyone else, but got a single traveller discount because I'm travelling on my own, meaning I paid 79.5k rand. If you're interested in booking something similar, do go and check out his website, where he'll be happy to help tailor a luxury trip for you. As morning merges into the afternoon, we continue our journey north as we edge ever closer to Johannesburg.
Afternoon tea will be served as we speak in the open lounges. If you can please come through and join us for something to eat.
Well, afternoon tea of course has to be done, and what a lovely venue. Welcome to the onboard lounge car, which we've not really looked at in any detail so far. Filled with comfy chairs with snacks dotted about, it's the perfect chill out carriage to while away the afternoon, sipping tea and reading a book, or in my case writing postcards. It's a tradition I've had for the last few months since I was on the Orient Express, and it gives me great pleasure to write to my loved ones back home. I help myself to some delicious homemade chocolate brownies, whilst I'm served a freshly made cappuccino. What a lovely end to a relaxing day. But tonight we have the grand finale dinner, and I've got quite a surprise for you. It's now time for me to go and get my already teased about attire on. The bow tie is coming out tonight. Let's see what it's like. Well, I bet you thought you'd never see the day with me in a bow tie on the channel. Right, I'm hideously late, but bow tie at the ready. Let's go have some dinner. So what's on tonight's menu then? Not quite as exotic as previous evenings, but I'm excited to see lamb on the menu, a personal favourite of mine. Let's start with the seared scallops. These were divine, real melt-in-your-mouth stuff. After a short interval, my main arrives. A beautifully presented lamb dish, complete with sautéed potatoes, glazed carrots and a red wine reduction. My American friends and I agree this is up there as our favourite dish on board. To close, I opt for the dark chocolate fondant, another personal favourite. Yes, I may need to be rolled off this train from the amount of food I've consumed, but it's been absolutely outstanding from start to finish. Right, so seeing as it's the last night, I think we're going to have to go and check out the bar for a couple of cocktails, maybe a gin and tonic. Let's go prop that bar up. I start off with a pink gin and tonic, whilst the others file in to join me. I had such a lovely last evening, chatting all things travel with my new South African friends, Austin and Georgie. Finally, and after admittedly a few too many G&Ts, I swear it's the train rocking and not me. It's time to head to bed. I awake far more refreshed than the previous day. Yes, we've travelled throughout the night again, but my sleep was pretty much uninterrupted. It's sadly time to pack up my suitcase, as we're around an hour outside Meyerton, which will be the final stop of our trip. With that, we arrive into our terminus station. It's time to get out and leave the wonderful Rovos Rail behind me. Well, there we have it. Welcome to just outside of Johannesburg, where we have arrived after 4 days on the rails. I hope you've enjoyed coming along with me on this luxurious adventure across South Africa. Do let me know, as always, what you think down in the comments below, and I'll catch you all again next week.